Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our UofT Pride Pub concert. I'm one of your hosts, Kathy V. Mack. I'm the program coordinator at the Sexual and Gender Diversity Office. I use she, her pronouns. Today, I'm calling in from Toronto, the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit River. My family and I are originally from Vietnam, and as a settler here, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share and to care for this land. And I'm really grateful to be here with you all and with my co-host Riley virtually.
Anim bonjour. Hello, everybody. Riley Yesno, Indigenous Iamatang First Nation, Nintonje, Thunder Bay, Ontario, Nintonje, and St. John's, Newfoundland, Ndonjapa. And basically what I just all told you is that my name is Riley. I'm from Iamatang First Nation in Northern Ontario, fly-in community in Treaty 9 territory. Grew up in Thunder Bay, and currently I am in St. John's, Newfoundland. I am an undergrad student at UofT and use she, her pronouns. And before we get started, I wanted to have a quick talk with everybody about land acknowledgements, because I know those are the things that usually start off a presentation like this, or a lot of meetings and events. And I think it's really important now in the time that we're living in, where, COVID has, either displaced a lot of us, or maybe in some cases brought us home, that we really start to think about, and now that we have the time to think about the land that we're living and working and playing on and what that means to us. So in the time that I've been in St. John's, though they're not my homelands, I've been thinking a lot about, who are the people here, which would be the Mi'kmaq, the Inuit, the Innu, and the Beothuk. And I am trying to think about, how do they care about their lands? How can I be a good caretaker? And so I would encourage all of you, wherever you may be somewhere in the world, just to stop for a second and think about who are the people on the lands who are the people whose lands you're living on, and based on that, what can you do to be a good guest and to be a good relative there? And I think that's really important for us this month, especially, but always. And before we introduce our first performance, on that note, I want to share a few words from UofT President Merrick Gertler. Kathy?
Thanks so much, Riley. So I'm going to read out this message from President Gertler. On behalf of the University of Toronto, I offer best wishes as you celebrate UofT Virtual Pride 2020. Pride is an annual highlight for me, and I thank the SGDO and their partners for this month's innovative online program and for their excellent work advancing equity and inclusion for LGBTQ2S plus members of our community all year long. Enjoy the concert.
Perfect. And so before we go again, another introduction, I want to talk a little bit quickly about First Nations House at U of T and some of the services they provide, and also just to encourage anybody watching who might be, a current student or a new student coming in to really take advantage of First Nations House and get out there and look at the programming they offer and the space that they have. I didn't until I was in my second or third year, and it is one of my biggest regrets of my first years of university that I didn't go sooner. It's now become a hub in my later years of university, and I really think that because it's kind of tucked away and hidden, that a lot of people don't realize how much amazing stuff comes out of there and lives there. Some of the things they do are provide services to Indigenous students, supporting academic success, personal growth, leadership development. It's really known as a safe space on campus for Indigenous people specifically, but all people to come and, explore cultural connections, access to medicines, elders, people who are knowledge holders, and also a place to just hang out with a bunch of awesome Indigenous folks. Services that they offer include academic supports, financial aid, cultural and social programming, recruitment, and access to an Indigenous counselor and a resource center. And every year they host Indigenous Education Week for all of U of T, and that's in November. And it's a week-long celebration of indigeneity. And the people that work over at First Nations House are amazing. They do great things, and I really encourage you all to check them out.
Thanks so much, Riley. So a little bit about the Sexual and Gender Diversity Office, or the SGDO. The SGDO supports students, staff, and faculty around issues of gender and sexual diversity across all three campuses of U of T. We provide educational opportunities, personal and departmental consultations, resource referrals, and a lot of programming and events throughout the year. Some of our programs include the Lead with Pride conference series, Queer Orientation, which is going into its 14th year, the Queer and Trans Students of Color discussions, which is going, I believe, into its 7th year, and gender talk events for trans non-binary students, Q21, which is a weekly program throughout the fall and winter semesters, and of course, our much anticipated annual UofT Pride Pub, which we hope to host again IRL next Pride with all of you. We're also so fortunate to be co-hosting with Hart as well, who is also our annual co-host for Pride Pub events. Since its opening in 1919, Hart has sought to provide a space for UofT students and the broader community to connect through programming that spans art, dialogue, wellness, and community. Hart is committed to creating an inclusive and diverse space where everyone can see themselves reflected. Hart is continually looking to engage communities that have been traditionally underrepresented, including members of the LGBTQ2S+ community and Indigenous students and colleagues.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathy. So without further ado, it's a pleasure of mine to introduce our first performers, JL and Bert Whitecrow. Their piece, they're going to be performing for us. They're going to be doing some Indigenous drumming and singing. Here on the screen, hopefully you can see a little bit about them and their Instagram to give them a follow. Bert is an artist. She goes to OCAD for Aboriginal Visual Cultures, and JL is a filmmaker and artist, and she is pursuing currently her MFA at York University in film production. And just really quick before we start, I want to encourage also everybody watching, if you have, a thought or feeling, or you want to express something while this is going on, feel free to put that in the comments in the chat. We can see it as panelists and then bring it out to the group. So I encourage you to share there. Enjoy the video.
Ani Buju Bert Indigenous Hi, my name is Bert and my clan is Muskrat. I'm from St. River First Nation, Treaty 3 territory.
Hey, Ani Bojo, Bebambatigabwe, Indigenous, Rujash Nindodim, Chima Aganing Nindoji.
As someone who identifies as a two-spirited person, drumming has definitely helped me to uplift my spirit and to also feel connected. Thanks for watching our songs today, and happy Pride to everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Hey
So the second song is the Water Song. There are many different versions to this song, but this is the version that me and my sister are most familiar with. And when we sing this song, it's really to honor the water that gives us life and holds space for that in our hearts. So the song goes out to the water and life and everything that the water gives us.
Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, do ya, do ya, do ya. Wichita, do ya, do ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wichita, hey ya, hey ya, eh.
That was an incredible performance. Thank you so much to JL and Bert for all of their work and for being a part of today's concert. And thank you again to all of you for joining us as well. We just want to take a moment to acknowledge that this isn't how we usually spend Pride in Toronto, but we are so glad to be here with you, even if it is just virtually. The struggle for Black communities and Indigenous communities continue even during this pandemic and especially now. And we are reminded of the importance of being in solidarity in the most difficult of times, even more so now when we are physically disconnected from one another. I just wanted to take a moment to remind folks also that from its inception, following the Stonewall riots in 1969, Pride has always been more than a celebration. Pride has always commemorated the pain and loss within LGBTQ2S plus communities, and it serves as a demonstration to highlight the continued importance of resisting homophobia and transphobia, and as we actively work against anti-LGBTQ2S plus violence in all forms of racism, it is vital that we also make space to nurture and to celebrate our communities, including our queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. At this time and at all times, LGBTQ2S plus liberation is intersectional. So thank you for being here with us today, and we're so glad to share this with you. And we're excited to welcome our next performer. So our next performance is by Canadian Poet of Honor, Mahlikah. Mahlikah is an award-winning spoken word artist, arts educator, and eco-influencer. They shift paradigms through indigenized ways of knowing and being, reimagining what it means to be in relation to the land and in relation to one another. And here is Mahlikah.
Sego, Skanangoa, Mahlikah Wairi, Amaligad, Hakas Maskwe, Yonkyat. So hello, I walk in peace. My name is Mahlikah Wairi, and my spirit name is the woman who stands and walks in the light. Aksota recalls a cadence before the now, reminiscent of Galoon Hayage, the place in the sky, where our otit speaks the internal backscatterings, encapsulating the truth of our balanced vivacity, celestial energies, forces manifested, femifested within the meridian of our lunar nodes, where our ancient past, where our ancient path intersects, unfolds, intersects, unfolds, ushering into being chosen kinships and chosen identities, the two-spirited ones, translateral, transliteral, translators. De Gana Wida, between the men and the women. De Gana Wida, between the women and the men. You see, they were never a dotem apart from us. They were the best of us. Two halves unabridged by Sungwa Yuttisun, creator. Chastised, Christianized, vanquished by invaders, the two-spirited ones. And then our men, our women, our people became adrift. Remembering. Yawagoa Aksota, for always summoning the two-spirited ones. Two spirits, arise. This journey of identity is lifelong, and it is not static. So I really think it's important that we remember to be gentle with ourselves, to be kind to ourselves, to show self-compassion on this journey, to remember that we won't necessarily have all the answers, to not feel pressured to subscribe to a particular category or place within an acronym, because identity is more than that. I know for myself, that has been the central part of this journey of trying to find a way to express the complexities of an identity that shifts and moves and breathes. How to reflect that is really a challenge sometimes in certain spaces. And so I've begun to lean in a little bit deeper into our beginnings, looking at creation, looking at the, before the now, that space within the universe, Galoon Hayage, the place in the sky, like, where did this start? And so a combination of creation story and astronomy and, indigenous knowledge is navigating me into this awareness. And this is an awareness that I'm going to dedicate. I'm going to dedicate to my descendants. Because when I become a future ancestor, I want you to speak of me not just in relation to an acronym or not just in relation to a naming, but in relation to creation. And so this is Galer Liniun Gwe Dage, for sacred beings. This is a love letter. This is a love letter to my trans, non-binary, indigiqueer descendants. What if I told you your existence was predestined? You are the charred, scattered fragments of O Tore, Ge Nogwa, Giyot Tish Dogwa, North Star. You are Galerli Nuungwe Dage, for sacred beings. My inordinate aspirations for you are to thrive always, to flourish always, to deluge in boundless joy always. I render these truths of your celestial inception in the hopes that you will defy the odds, become the exception, live not for one night, but for one whole life. No more transgressions, genocidal oppressions. That was never the North Star's intentions for you. As sky dwellers, you hoisted no burdens. The only weight you carry is held in your hearts. The intertwined counterparts for winds, for seasons, for winds, for seasons, where you stowed Sky Woman's reasons. The repletion of creators' cohesion. Garliwi Osera, the good message. Galerli Niungwe Dage, a vestige. In relation to the four roots at the base of Skaruni Segoa, the great tree of peace. The intertwined counterparts of the four directions, south, west, north, and east. This is a love letter to my trans, non-binary, and indigiqueer descendants. Leaders, medicine healers, peacemakers, futuristic dreamers, resplendent as far as our past and as near as our future and present. This is a love letter. This is a love letter. Go no lungwa. 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 Yawa, miigwech.
Me Gretch for that. That was so beautiful, and thank you all for watching as well. That was my first time seeing it, and I was blown away. It was very, very generous. And in response sort of to this presentation, this performance that Mahlikah just gave us, I want to draw everybody's attention really quick to the time we're living in, Indigenous Peoples Month, Indigenous History Month, and also Pride Month, of course, and to the work that our trans brothers and sisters are doing for us and have always done for us in, our past generations and in our future generations, I'm sure. So I want to point out 3 Indigenous trans women that I follow, whose work I have gained so much from. And I encourage everybody this month to maybe look into them, and also other queer, Indigenous, and Black people out there in this country and elsewhere, because the work that they're putting out are consistently shaping our movements, our dialogues, and all of it. So I want to just talk about quickly Jay Simpson, talk about Ariel Twist and Lindsay Nixon. All 3 of them, if not almost all 3 of them, have books out or about to be published, and I recommend you looking at their work. It's really incredible, or just following them on Twitter. And again, before we go into our 3rd performance, I want to talk very quickly about some of the U of T Pride fundraising initiatives that have been happening this year and in past years. This year, U of T put on what they call the Strut and Stroll, where people, I believe you said, Kathy, that it was just the other week that it happened.
Just on the 13th, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. First time I had been hearing about it, but I looked into it. It looks very successful, and really organizing a lot of money for some really amazing charities in the community. The 519 Community Center, Native Child and Family Services of Toronto, and the Black Coalition for AIDS Prevention. And the link that is still up and active for people to go and to donate money to these charities and these initiatives. And it would be really great, and I think a really actionable thing to do this month. And so you can go to www.canadahelps.org, and if you search up the term Strut and Stroll, you'll be able to find the place to donate. So without further ado, I will introduce Cris Derksen and Rebecca Benson. I am really grateful to know them personally, and you are in for a really beautiful performance. Cris is a cellist. They are Cree, and Rebecca Tuscarora, and a beautiful, beautiful singer. The title of their pieces are Nuhea and Top Shelf, and you should follow them on Instagram. They have great posts, great performances, and very adorable guinea pigs.
Howdy, I'm Cris Derksen. I'm originally from Treaty 8 in northern Alberta. I'm half Cree and half Mennonite, which makes me a Creenanite, and I live here with my wife in Toronto on the Dishwith Moon territory.
Sego Sewagwego. My name is Rebecca. I'm Tuscarora from Six Nations and Scots Gaelic. I also live in Dishwith Spoon territory and have for most of my life. We are so excited that U of T asked us to be a part of their Pride celebrations. It's been such a difficult time for so many months now. First, for those members of the LGBTQI community who were quarantining in homes that were maybe less than celebratory, or where folks maybe couldn't fully be themselves. And then as well with the deaths of George Floyd, Regis Korchinski, Paquette, and Chantel Moore. So right now we were really thinking of all the queer and trans folks across Turtle Island, and especially Black folks, especially Indigenous folks and people of color. We really hope everyone is staying safe and finding ways of celebrating their identities in this really difficult time. And here's a couple of songs that we hope will brighten your day and your Pride Month.
Thank you very much. Our next tune for you is an Indigenous love song. This is the perfect time to be sending some love out into the world. It is called Top Shelf. I don't know what you've been told, but you are my dark horse, black rose, my stallion, lucky number one, and you are my top shelf, top me.
haven't told, but you are my country song, caviar, my mountain nights, lucky number one. You are my tall cat, tall boy,
Black rose. Happy Pride!
Happy Pride!
Awesome. It looked like everybody, from the comments at least, and I know I certainly did, really enjoyed that performance. David just put in the group chat that Chris's albums are available on Apple Music and Spotify. This is going to be our sign off. I want to thank everybody, Semi Gwech, for attending and spending this afternoon with us and experiencing those performances. I'm hoping that you're going, and I'm sure you will, enjoy this final performance. And I'm going to hand it off to Kathy to say our thank yous.
Like Riley mentioned, we do have one more performance, and this one is live. But in a sec, I am going to be introducing you to our last guest here. But first, I just want to say on behalf of the Sexual and Gender Diversity Office, we want to thank our incredible partners, Shannon Simpson from the Indigenous Initiatives Office, Michael White, T. Duke, Kelsey Mellinson from First Nations House, all of our wonderful colleagues from Hart House, including Valerie, Ira, Michelle. We couldn't do this all without you. Thank you so much for all of the work that you put into this. Thank you also to Jada, who created our beautiful virtual Pride graphic. Jada has an Instagram account, which I am going to share in a little bit. I think it's just right here. Check out some of their work. They're visual artists. Thank you to my wonderful co-host, Riley. So glad we got to meet. So glad to work with you. Thank you so much for all your work. It's really been an incredible pleasure.
Yes, Kathy.
And finally, a big thank you to David Pereira, who I've had the pleasure to work with, and many of us have had the pleasure to work with over the past couple of years in his role as the interim director of the Sexual and Gender Diversity Office, which he will be moving on from soon. But he has been so instrumental to the creation of this concert and other Pride virtual programs for this year. We are so grateful for all of the work that you do. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and we'll really miss you in the office, but we're around and you're around, and we hope to stay connected in the future. And so finally, our last artist, and certainly not much anticipated artist, we hope you enjoy this final performance. We're joined live by Deejay Jams. Deejay Jams is a multiracial queer DJ, community arts programmer, anti-racist educator, spoken word performer, writer, radio geek, and grassroots advocate. Jams specializes in hip-hop, dance, house, electric powwow, and music to move you, which is the name of this 25-minute set coming up right now. We hope you enjoy the rest of this time dancing or just soaking it up. If you want to share some photos or videos of yourself doing so, you can tag us on Instagram. We're just at UofT SGDO. Happy Pride, everyone.
Yongoa.
My ancestors.
Happy Pride, everyone. Black Lives Matter. Land back.
I'm connected in a way where you can see where the roots are planted on my feet. My veins carrying life through me and my mother, like the life she gave me through our umbilical cord. Where at times my maternal blood rushes through me like a wave from another sea. Other times they storm and collide in my sweat palms, and I need to take a breath. And feel that life brewing. Emotionally and spiritually. That is in me. Safe when I can face my fears. Faith that is safe when I can face my fears. Like my maternal home, my lifeblood, motherhood.
Got snatched up by my mom when I was 6. I can still smell the smoke institution. Had enough when I was 14. I ran away so I could foster my dreams, but I didn't have the knowledge. The streets was too much. Mama just taught me I wasn't enough. So we live it up. Hard days, never seen them lie. I'm not saying I'm the only one. The damn some days I'm still alive. Please don't shoot. They say that you love it if your mouth stay mute. They say they don't see color, but the blood stain shows the proof. Please don't shoot. In the world where you can't take shots. They say they don't see color, but the blood stain shows the proof. When I was 19, there goes my 20s and there goes my dreams. Put me on the odds, sacrifice the queen. That's a lot for a team. Cried so much when I was released. Kissed the grass up under my feet. Modern slavery tried to get the best of me. It's not for anybody. You're slaves, so you live it up. Hard days, you never seen them lie. I'm not saying I'm the only one. The damn some days I'm feeling like hand up, please don't shoot. They say that you love it if your mouth stay mute. They say they don't see color, but the blood stain shows the proof. Please don't shoot. Because you know where I'm going to take you. The blood stain shows the proof. I'm 60 in my 40s. What I mean, I can't afford it. Butterflies on the red carpet. That's a whole lot for me. That's a whole lot for me. No consent, land back. No consent, land back. No consent, land back. No consent, land back. Misleaded in this mission, the masses are persuaded. Misleaded in this mission with these lies you keep making. I'm seated and you're taking no consent. I'm seated and you're taking no consent. We got women going missing. We got water with your pissing. No consent. No consent. Put my life before I take it, cause these traumas keep coming back around in a cycle. And we've grown to think that's really how life goes. But really it's all just a white hope that we submit to the lawful typos. Where you can shoot natives in your own homes and then go arrest us in our rightful lands that we're trying to protect. Bags around our hands, what we're trying to defend. Our future generations that will all depend on to lead us in the fight for. No consent, land back. No consent, land back. No consent, land back. It's all deception, deception.
Risk when we are not talking about two-spirit issues. This two-spirit people themselves is our First Nations cultures, but also falling back into this homo-negative idea and this trans-negative idea. And at risk is our future generations pretty much learning exactly what was taught the first year of residential school. We need to start to decolonize ourselves, and through talking about two-spirit issues, we are getting at the root of decolonization. We're starting to renegotiate our cultures for ourselves.
I was young, when I was young and naive, when I started wearing just 5 years old. I stopped for a long time.
What is it you want me to reconcile myself to? I was born here almost 60 years ago. I'm not going to live another 60 years. You always told me it takes time. It's taking my father's time, my mother's time, my uncle's time, my brothers and my sisters' time, my nieces and my nephews' time. How much time do you want for your progress?
You ask me whether I approve of violence. That just doesn't make any sense at all. Whether I approve of guns. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. And then after that, in my neighborhood, all the men organized themselves into an armed patrol. They had to take their guns and patrol our community every night because they did not want that to happen.
smoke in my nose. Somehow I didn't choke, but I was clearly breathing. I swore to put on my coat because the weather was freezing. So my TV arose here and just let me leaving. Started to get the bros till I woke up from dreaming. But I saw sisters forward, saddle up, let's go. I go hold and it's never too cold. So open up that door, there's room for one more. Just drop your own ego, to stand with the people, defend from the evils. It's never been peaceful when the weapons are so lethal. But still we fly like Condor and an eagle. We won't take this treatment much past this evening. So turn off your TV and come do some healing. It's a freaking weekend, baby, about to have fun with our head and our hearts gathered as one. We don't need no weapons, we don't want no guns, cause our ancestors smile with the warmth of the sun. Dakota to the bay, standing rock to Staten, the prairie to the mountains, all the way to Manhattan. I'm a native New Yorker, look the show me on the scene. I swear I'm not important, just want my water clean. Dakota to the bay, standing rock to Staten, the prairie to the mountains, all the way to Manhattan. I'm a native New Yorker, look the show me on the scene. I swear I'm not important, just want my people seen. Yeah. What do you do when your people under attack? Stand up, fight back. Rise up, fight back. Rise up, fight back. Rise up, fight back. Lavender, schooling pretender, defenders of the box, trap card hand. Gender bender, you now go offender when you tell her that she don't look like her. Oh man, she being me, the queen of androgyny, I put that one in your own philosophy. Patriarchy, think of the paradigm, the ceremony and time, if I love it on mine, cause I'm an individual. She have my head once a week, from the eye roll in the sleep, when I'm in the lipstick, and I'm here up. And then you see me walk by me, I look kind of blind. You're looking at me, yeah, don't know if I'm a guy. Yeah. Gender bender, schooling pretenders, defender of the box, trap call, man. Gender bender, I'm a feminist agenda, I'll shut the woman for version. Years of socialization, she's like, girl, we're people, boy, we're blue, boy, we're sports, girl, we axe, girl, get Barbie, boy, get the fire truck. Gender is a social construct. We can like a she wants to climb tree. We can live said by him and that. We can like a because our legs. You can live say boy don't right. You can like a please our man. You can live say woman never please man. Gender bender, schooling pretender. I'm learning institutionalization. Gender bender, urging the system. Redefine your woman in position. Question the standards of beauty. Makeup, hygiene, weight loss, clothing industry. Based on the scale of our body. Them teach we're early. Say, if you're anorexic, you're more beautiful. If you're physically weak, you're more feminine. If you're passive and weak, you're more female. And you're black, walking on fields for 500 years. Same woman strong and assertive. You're not beautiful. You look like a man. Better still, an African. To all my people who be fucking with gender lines, dissecting race, class, sexual orientation, what's expected, the status quo, the institutionalized shit. To all weirdos, people who be responsibly different, she, transvestite, transgender, queer, gay, bi, lesbian, straight, drag king, drag queen. So all these raise their children outside of gender norms. Tell them she's a boy, tell them she's a girl, and let them go play with dolls. Chichi man, mama man, Hannah Mike, what she died, Mahlikah, hey. To all cross-dressers, women who are fathers, men who are mothers, everybody in between. To people who don't assume when they meet me that I'm a boy because I shave my head. My clothes are gender neutral. I stand with
Somos luchadores perfectos, los caras de nada, los caras de nada. Somos los patipelados, los pumas, los rotos, los chulos y quemados. Somos los chulos morenos, los chicos sin pelo en la lengua y ya está. Somos morenos que bueno, no tenemos miedo, no tenemos nada. Cuando que tú cargas siempre fue derecha, me da la sospecha que tú te aprovechas, que nada te acecha ni prende la mecha. Ahí con tu escuela no te prendo vela. Baja y escucha la lucha de estos asignados, tremenda chucha. Que no hay excusa para hacer la ducha, no se le confunda, buena capucha. Papagay, ¿cómo están? No necesito estar ahí. Este sistema se trae, si no comprar. Papagay, ¿cómo están? No necesito estar ahí. Este sistema se cae, si no comprar. El amigo de todo, no amigo de nadie. Cántalo suave, ¿cómo se hace la clave y el pase la llave para que todo esto se acabe? Todo se cae, todo se sabe. Ir a Haití, Chile combate a liberar este mundo completo si tocan a uno. Neighbors like him think he's a great guy. He wears a necktie. What's the uniform? He keep a placing down. Nobody know him. He behind your yeah. Twins, dark, dash, hub, zoom, it's a new club, 6 feet, no hug, still be beast, mug, 6 feet, cut a rug, Joe Exotic is a thug, kitty cat, tell me Carol Baskin, where is the husband, everyone asking, stimulus check, everybody got a cash in, masking gloves, yeah, that's a new fashion, girl, what did that girl just say, girl? Girl, I don't go to work,
I don't leave, I stay. I don't care, I eat and sleep all day. And then I watch TV. That's just the tea, I'm tea. Till they set us free, then I'ma let you see. What you gonna let them see? My mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs. No school, gym closed. Don't touch these clothes. Need food, this blows. Line at Trader Joe's. At home, gym fish. Don't come close. This way, blood kiss. Mask boy, mask sis. Left, right, swiping on Tinder. What was life like? I can't remember. Need my haircut, somebody shave her. Where is all of the toilet paper? Girl, what did that girl just say, girl? Girl, I don't go to work. I don't leave, I stay. I don't care, I eat and sleep all day. And then I watch TV. That's just the tea, I'm tea. Until they set us free, then I'ma let you see. What you gonna let them see? My mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs. My mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs, mask, gloves, soap, scrubs. Okay, dolls, y'all know what time it is. Come on, stay inside and lock the door. Stay inside and lock the door. Now I want you to grab that sponge, grab that broom, get your shower, get your bleach. Cause I know you want to dance, but it's time to clean that dirt. Come on, mop for me, 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 tongue pop for me, pop 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 for me. Now spray for me, 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 spray. Stay away from me, away from me, away from me, away from me, away. Stay away from me, away from me, away from me, away from me, away. Now sweet for me, 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 sweet. Now sleep for me, 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 sleep. Oh, close for me, 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 close. The walk for me, 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 the walk. Now squirt for me, 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 squirt. Now twerk for me, 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 twerk. On your knees for me, your knees for me, your knees for me, your knees for me, hands on your knees for me, 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 for me.
That's it for me. Thank you so much. Thank you to UofT Gender and Sexual Diversity Office for organizing this. Thank you to the hosts for doing such an amazing job. Also, love to all of the artists who are before me. And yeah, if you want to know more about me, you can check out my website, djjams.com, DEEJAY jams.com. You can follow me on Instagram that way too. And remember, Black Lives Matter and land back. Indigenous sovereignty now. Love to all the gender non-binary, the trans, the two-spirit, Black and Indigenous people out there. Love to everybody, but especially love to all of the gender diverse people out there.
Deeper and deeper.